having a look at the campus facility. I heard so much, about this campus from two of my kids who are quite spoiled. They both are overseas, and a lot of their friends came in here, and they regretted that they did not come to this school and had to go overseas. And had they known a little bit earlier, they would have absolutely joined. And having done the visit, I can tell you this is far better than what you see in many of the international colleges. And I picked 5 or 6 things, during just this round. I mean, clearly having it in a corporate office building. I mean, fantastic. If you look at the other, colleges, for example, my son's now interviewing. I mean, he's like scared about, do I need to wear a suit? Do I need to wear, jacket and go for this interview? I mean, you guys probably see every guy in a suit and a tie, and you know what they're discussing in the lift. I'm not so sure this is
Yeah, don't worry, just keep it.
No, I'm happy to use it. It has been located and positioned is, absolutely fantastic. I can't think of any other college. I must have gone to so many of the campuses, man. I can't think of anyone who has been able to think through this and say, why don't we integrate the corporate world with the students? Because most of the times I can tell you is when we're getting in the freshers, it takes 6-8 months for them to assimilate with the corporate world. I think this batch is going to be a far more quicker batch that you're going to be able to assimilate. Second is the way the thought process and the passion behind the leader is. I mean, she's sort of world acknowledged leader. You're privileged to have someone like Dr. Sani lead this entire thing from the front. I know in HR college, I mean, there would have been queues and queues of people wanting to just meet up with her, and obviously she's on the board of a lot of the corporates, and the passion that Radha and the team bring in. I mean, that represents transparency. Whatever we are trying to teach to the students, we're saying is that there has to be a great corporate governance, great transparency, great trust, integrity, relationship, and that is why you have the glass doors. So I've got about 20-25 minutes, half an hour at the most, but I'll leave sort of 10 minutes for Q&A. I put together 10 points from journey of an entrepreneur to a professional to an entrepreneur. Again, so just 2 minutes, I'll tell you what I did and then move on. So I did my accountancy. I'm a chartered accountant very early in life. At that time, straight from school, you could become a chartered accountant. You didn't have to go through the college, but you had to have a college degree. So you could become a chartered accountant before you became a graduate, so which is what I did. And you couldn't practice because unless you were a graduate, you could not practice. And at that time, my parents gave a little bit of money to enjoy. I had about 8-9 months before I would have graduated to really practice. I played it on the stock market, that money, and made a ton of money. At that time, there was no computers, and it was very, very different. So there was an arbitrage that I had a friend in Bombay. I was based out of Delhi. You could actually play the game at that time, and that is where made money. Then went overseas, studied, and came back. And I've been overseas. I started chartered accountancy. The last day I realized I had made a mistake. I should not have joined that profession 3 years. And then I came into real estate, and then ran my own business for many years called as Chesterton Meghraj. I think most of the entrepreneurs, and you're going to get into that, you will see is that you're going to be very dissatisfied optimists. So that I think is just a theme of an entrepreneur, that you're extremely dissatisfied all the time, yet you remain very, very optimistic. So that's the theme that I think most of the entrepreneurs really work on. The 10 things I was going to say. First, I am a very good copycat. I am not innovative, but I can copy and I can improve that well. And that is what some part of my success has been, is that very good copycat. Second is, I think most of the entrepreneurs would not blame the external environment, and they'll remain very positive. I mean, certainly the way the economic circumstances are today, If you don't remain positive, it's very easy to get consumed into a negative flow. You have to make sure that you continue to remain very positive and don't blame others. Very easy to blame. When some of you will be entrepreneurs, some of you will be in the corporate life, and I can tell you, in the corporate life, it's great fun because you can blame somebody else. For that entrepreneur, the buck really stops with you. The next is, if you're going to be an entrepreneur in India, I think you have to think and work in chaos. We are not an organized place. We are very chaotic. I'm just on the government only. I'm telling you, is on the GST, the real estate sector that I'm a part of. It moved from service tax to GST, different rates. Then it moved into GST. Then from GST with input credit, now they've made GST without input credit in one project cycle. Very difficult. So think if you're working in India, it will be always very chaotic. Something will happen, and you have to work and then go in there. What I said is know what to fight and when to fight. I think many a times we pick up fights, we pick up battles without understanding that this is the battle that you want to fight or you don't want to fight in that. I think many years ago somebody had told me is that certainly don't fight a battle with someone who has nothing to lose, because if that guy has got nothing to lose, he'll give you 1 or 2 punches anyway, and you will have that to lose. So make sure that you pick up which battles to fight, which battles not to fight, when not to fight, because also we have limited energy. How much are you going to be able to take on and fight? In JLL we're about 10,000 guys, so we from the campuses we're about 2,000 now in ANAROCK. One thing I tell you is that I used to sort of struggle with people who would come in from graduate courses, was that they would make simple things complicated and then unable to simplify that back is. So I have no problem if you make simple things complicated as long as you can simplify it back again. And then I think it is quite famous in the firm, even in JLL today, that with Anuj, if you have to use small sentences, easy words. I just sort of struggle, and that is what you will find in many of the people, that they like small sentences, easy words that they can really understand and comprehend that. I think hard work really works hard. I don't think so there is anything that I can, unless you want to sell drugs. I don't think so there is an easy way out of it. Is many people will give you great ideas. I can tell you is even in colleges, even in schools, you enjoy with a lot of your colleagues. And and I remember as a young student that in the evening you would go and really work hard, and people during when you would get your results think is that you are brilliant, that you're too intelligent. Actually you were working extremely hard in that is, and it appeared on the face of it that you were really partying and enjoying and in the circle, but not many knew what was going on behind the scene is. So sometimes people think is you're God gifted, you've got too much of brain, and I wish I had the same. And there is, I think most of us have about the same or perhaps lesser brain, but it is really hard work to that. One thing that is there in our generation, and I'm seeing is that it is not as much in your generation, is that our generation never celebrated success. Our generation was very superstitious. That if you celebrate success, there'll be something wrong that is going to happen. Nazar lag jayegi. And when you see an Aussie team playing a cricket match and they win, and look at the celebrations that they will go out and they will do, is I think we're still reserved. Although now Virat Kohli celebrates as well pretty nicely. And so I would say it's just I think an Indian thing in the mind. And sometimes for developers, we would sell say a residential building very nicely, very quickly and everything. Instead of being happy that you sold it quickly for him, he's wondering did I sell cheap? Always there is something at the back of your mind that does hold you back in India. 4 or 5 more things quickly, and I think the next two are quite important. Again, many years ago, somebody told me, and I've been true to that. They said is that in life there are 3 balls, 2 rubber balls, 1 crystal ball in there, and the 2 rubber balls is one is work, that if you drop work, it'll bounce back and you'll be able to catch. And second is your friends or family. If you drop it, you'll be able to catch it back. The third is a crystal ball, and that is your health. If you drop it, that's gone in there. So you have to be really particular about that. And I'm telling you today, you are like very healthy, very easy and everything, but as you grow and as you get into your own businesses or corporate ladders and you get into too much, what will be the easiest to compromise is your health. Not wake up in the morning, not go to the gym, or not go in the evening, because that's the easiest to compromise, because work will take precedence, family will take, friends will take, you will have other commitments to do it. Just always remember that. That is one big thing. If you can, that one point out of this in your life and says it is a crystal ball, I don't want to drop it. And you won't drop it now. You drop it and it'll hurt you 20 years later.
Yeah.
And that is today, it'll look like it doesn't matter to me. The next is, and this my grandmom had told me many years ago, and I've said this within our firm as well, that there are in Hindu mythology, there is goddess of wealth, which is Lakshmi, and there is Vishnu, who does good work, and there is Indra. Indra Bhagwan is always after Lakshmi, wanting to catch her, hold her, and possess her in that is. And every time he catches her and thinks that he's got that wealth, she comes out, smiles, and disappears. And then he runs and catches her again, and then she comes out, smiles, and then disappears. On the other hand, Lord Vishnu is sitting on his lotus and enjoying and doing good work, and she is sucking his right toe thumb, and she's manifesting into several avatars because she can't get enough of it. Do not chase money. Every time you will chase money, it will go away. And I'm telling you, today you will chase money, because it is. Today you would want to negotiate the hardest, because it is a priority, and it rightfully so. But remember, in life, that is not what is going to be what it will be. It will be good work. Money will always chase good work. In the short term, you think you will have chased money and you would have got it, but somewhere it will escape, and then smile back and look at it. If you just continue to do good work, it will automatically chase, and it will automatically come to you. Respect people with less power. I think most of us have now understood it. And I just think is maybe our generation had also understood it. Maybe the generation prior to us did not really understand as much. I do find is a lot of people in your this thing, they don't really differentiate people with less power, or this thing is, they do respect. But it is also a point that you should, and respect is just not about just money. Respect could be just on the gender. That you have to make sure, respect could be just in diversity. Respected people who are differently able, come from different backgrounds, have different tastes. Just respect those people. Then I have, this is Steve Jobs. If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. That is the sort of best thing to do that. I'd say two other things. One, I come from an old school thing. Chesterton Wegraj was a property consulting company. Then we merged with Jones Lang, and so it became very large. So at Chesterton Wegraj, we were not the largest. And every morning I would wake up and I would be like, I want to be the largest, I want to be the most powerful, I want to own this sector. And that is, there was a lot of hunger in that is, and we were probably number 4 or 5 in 7 guys in that is. So you were like, how do I become bigger? And it was difficult to become bigger because the partner that we had, Chesterton, they were a UK partner, and majority of the work that was being outsourced to India from Accenture, IBM, Cisco, Microsoft were all US. So US guys were getting a lot of the work, the Jones Lang, the CBREs, the Cushmans, and we were considered like a street fighter in India, and Jones Lang was the blue-blooded, and we used to hate Jones Lang because we were like real street fighters, and we would be like, these guys get food on platter, and we have to work hard and get all this thing is. And then it used to be a dream that I want to be really the number one guy to come in. And then in 2005, Chesterton, who was a UK listed company, 200-year-old, went bankrupt. I was like, from number 5, I went to number 7. In there. I'm like, but I really want to become number 1 is. But somewhere I felt is, the world, the universe conspires. And you may have read this book as well, which conspires that if you really, really want something, it will make it happen. So they went bankrupt. The moment they went bankrupt, Jones Lang actually bought them globally. And that is how we merged with Jones Lang. And that 3-4 months when they went bankrupt, I was like, what is God doing? I was like wanting to move up and up and up, and I have now gone back. I didn't realize that it was like one step back because you were going to leapfrog and take that opportunity. So just if you really want something in life, the world really conspires to do that. So from an old school Chesterton and then Jones Lang, and finally when I came into ANAROCK, I wanted this to be new. So average age in our company is 26. It's very young, 2,000 people. So I knew that if I had got one guy that I could get in, I would be able to crack this new age. And he was a tech guru. For right or wrong reasons, his name used to come in the papers, front page, Economic Times. He's a guy called as Rahul Yadav. Rahul Yadav was the owner of Housing.com. At the age of 22, 23, he made a company called as Housing.com, which got funded by SoftBank, everybody in there is. And then he finally sold it, I don't know, whatever price he sold it at. I mean, obviously, he's got thousands of crores in his pocket in there. And I had never met him in my life, but I knew if I get this guy, he knew real estate, he knew tech. He was only 25, 26-year-old in there, and he would be able to bring in that culture. So 2017 beginning, I started to date him, and I had lots and lots of alcohol with him. And finally, after one day, after having much of alcohol, I did say, Rahul, look, I've been having this chat. It is really, I want you to get on board to that. And I was very shy because in terms of what he had achieved in life was far greater than what I had been able to achieve in 25 years, and he had achieved it in sort of 3 years of his life. So and he really didn't need to work, but he said love to do that. So I said, can we discuss? This is that out of blue at Bandra.
Yeah.
I had that discussion. I remember. So I had written 5 things. So one was salary was like less than 5 seconds. Whatever number I said. He wasn't going to work for salary. It was more than that. And he's only 27, 28 now. Second I said is, can you not wear shorts to the office and come? And he said is, yes, I've been to your office. There are lots of girls there, and I do feel a little embarrassed. So but I'll wear sort of khaki trousers. And I wish I could have got him. He's like, he holds his trousers like this and walks. This birthday I'm going to give him a belt. Head up. So he did. I said, can you wear a shirt? He said, I'll wear a collared t-shirt. And I said, can you shave and come? He says, the days I have showered, I will shave. Own a car? Not at all. And he said, why? I want to enjoy holidays. I want to do what makes me feel happy. Not that I'm going to be worried that 5 years later this is going to happen, 10 years later this is going to happen. And that is not what it is. Second, he said is that, if I want to sleep at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, I'll sleep. If I want to work, so for example, in ANAROCK, the trouble came in is that his team one day was having on these very expensive, Maggi noodles on the lab compliant, hugely. We inherited a very corrupt India. Well, I mean, corruption
Right.
was at its galore. I mean, corruption was a way of life. If there is. But what we are going to leave for you in the next sort of 5 years, you will see is very clean, compliant, ethical, full of corporate governance, an India that you will be really proud of. An India that we feel is that, you know, giving it in your hands will take it to the next level and start to compete with the global economies of China and the US. Because the base, what you are now getting, you know, as this generation, is going to be a lot better than the base that we necessarily inherited.
Good.
Good.